to her replacement. Melissa Cutler, Fox 4 News.
Dallas County District Attorney Craig Watkins is asking the Texas legislature to pass a handful of measures that he says would help make the criminal justice system more progressive. Fox 4 Sean Rabb in our Dallas newsroom with that. Sean.
And Clarice, if lawmakers adopt his proposal, some agree the reforms would improve criminal justice in Texas. Watkins in Austin, as the session opened, talked about his reform proposals to lawmakers, proposals that include requiring a DNA sample from all who are arrested, reforming the eyewitness identification process, and Watkins wants a new state law that would require law enforcement to tape all confessions. Now, we talked with two defense attorneys to gauge reaction. Overall good marks, but one was concerned about DNA samples from everyone arrested.
It seems to be an unnecessary step as far as the government just tracking you or being involved in your life when you don't need to.
Every one of these recommendations by Craig Watkins are well thought out. They're fair, they're intelligent, and they add integrity to our system.
We see it not costing the state much money at all to implement these very progressive programs that will improve upon our criminal justice system.
District Attorney Watkins also proposing that student loans be forgiven for folks coming out of law school who serve in government as prosecutors, providing they serve a minimum 5 years. Now, Watkins says he'll make several trips to Austin throughout the session to talk with lawmakers about his proposals. He talks with us about his legislative agenda live in studio tonight on Fox 4 News at 9. Sean Rabb, Fox 4 News.
The first
35 at DFW, 34 in Arlington, 33 Sherman, and 37 in Mineral Wells and Bridgeport. The good news is that the Arctic air is beginning to lose its grip in North Texas. As a result, we've got warmer temperatures in the offing. We'll talk about those in your forewarned forecast coming up.
Dallas County District Attorney Craig Watkins says he wants to reform criminal justice all across the state.
Yeah, he has a handful of measures he hopes lawmakers will adopt as law in Texas. He released his legislative agenda today, and Fox 4's Sean Rabb sat down with the DA and sampled legal minds on his proposals. Sean.
Yeah, proposals, Heather, that the district attorney now in his second term calls progressive programs that he says will improve the criminal justice system. Day one of the legislative session, and Dallas DA Craig Watkins in the Senate chamber.
Now, I've already talked to basically the Dallas delegation about these issues.
Watkins wants legislators to adopt his new state law, several measures requiring law enforcement to take DNA samples from everyone arrested, reforming the eyewitness process, and he wants law enforcement to tape all confessions.
I think more than not, they're good.
We took the proposals to defense attorneys John Teakle and Barry Sorrells, both former prosecutors.
What these obviously are designed to do are to protect the innocent.
More than 20 of the Dallas County exonerees were wrongfully convicted on eyewitness identification. Both defense attorneys say state law requiring law enforcement to adopt best practices in using photo lineups is a sound idea.
You know, we can take a recording of a person's confession with very little cost.
Like with Alandis Weaver, who threw his baby over the Louisville Lake Bridge, his statement by police recorded on an iPhone.
There's already a number of types of cases that DNA samples are taken. I see no need to take it for every single person who's arrested.
But John Teakle wonders if a DNA swab sample of everyone arrested is too intrusive.
It seems to be an unnecessary step as far as the government just tracking you or being involved in your life when you don't need to.
It's just 21st century fingerprints. It's no more intrusive, it's no more offensive.
Barry Sorrells favors all the measures.
Every one of these recommendations by Craig Watkins are well thought out, they're fair, they're intelligent, and they add integrity to our system.
We see it not costing the state much money at all to implement these very progressive programs that will improve upon our criminal justice system.
Watkins also wants student loan forgiveness for law school grads who serve as prosecutors at least 5 years. DA Watkins will be our special guest tonight in Fox 4 News at 9 as we discuss his progressive programs. That's tonight on Fox 4 News at 9. Sean Rabb, Fox 4 News.
Baby.
I have set everything in motion. It has begun.
What's going to happen to me?
Fringe moves to Fridays, all new January 21st on Fox.
Dallas County District Attorney Craig Watkins is taking his concerns about the Texas justice system directly to the state legislature. He says 5 things need immediate attention this session. And Craig Watkins is at the station tonight. There he is. Mr. Watkins, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm going to go down your list of 5, and you correct me if anything is wrong, but I want to show people what we're talking about on your list of wants, I guess. DNA collection on all arrests, reforming eyewitness identifications, we're talking about in lineups and such, require police to videotape all confessions, standardize how evidence is stored, and also then the last one, number 5, is extending student loan forgiveness to prosecutors. As you look at that, I think the one that jumps out is DNA collection as the one that might make people nervous, how it'll be handled, how it'll be, down the line, how it'll be kept and stored. Is that what you're hearing too? Is that kind of the controversial one? I hate to label it that, but are you hearing some feedback on that?
Well, I've heard it for a couple of years now, but I think we need to explain to the public that DNA testing and taking the sample is not as intrusive as you think it is. Right now we use fingerprints. We have a new science, and we should progress with that science. And that science allows us to make an identification more so than what we had in the past as it relates to fingerprints. And I believe that we should adopt this new science to use in our criminal justice system. Will give us the ability to better serve our citizens, to make sure that we seek justice for those who commit crimes, and make sure that those individuals who don't commit crimes are not wrongfully prosecuted.
All right, Mr. Watkins, Sean Rabb, you talked with Sean earlier, and he also talked to a local defense attorney about the DNA issue, and let's listen to what that defense attorney had to say.
It seems to be an unnecessary step as far as the government just tracking you or being involved in your life when you don't need to.
What do you make of what he said? Is he wrong? Tracking? I mean, it'll be in the system forever, I guess.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the standards will be the same as taking a person's fingerprint, but this science will identify a person more so than a fingerprint. If you're arrested today, we take your fingerprints on every arrest. If that case that you're arrested on is dismissed, if you're if you're found not guilty, or if the case is not filed, you can have that fingerprint record expunged. The same will apply to the DNA that we will take upon all the arrests.
Okay, big budget cutting year, as you know. I mean, I've heard and you've heard the same thing. $27 billion potentially that needs to be cut. Doesn't seem like a good year to maybe be asking for things from lawmakers. They're cutting everything in sight. What do you say about your 5 wants and how budget cutting fits in?
Well, you couple that not only with budget cuts, but with the fact that we're going to be dealing with redistricting. The wish list is 5. But I think that if we focus on the top 3, taking DNA samples, putting in place techniques used by the state as to how we store evidence, and eyewitness identification. If we get those 3, I think that will be enough for us to satisfy our system.
All right, is it unique for you as a local prosecutor to be lobbying the legislature to do things?
No, absolutely not. Our lawmakers actually look to local DAs to define the criminal justice system. And fortunately, I'm in a position here in Dallas County to advocate for things that will make the citizens not only here in Dallas, but throughout the state of Texas safer.
All right, Mr. Watkins, change subjects a little bit. You fought with the county commission, very hard about budget cuts. Said you couldn't spare a single prosecutor. It got pretty intense, and then after your re-election, you did dump several Republican prosecutors. That's your prerogative, but it can look like political payback too. Is it? Was it?
Absolutely not. And in fact, I didn't know what party affiliation that anyone, I don't know what party affiliation that anyone is in our office.
Wait a second, seriously? You don't know what party affiliations your prosecutors are if they're at a Republican event or something like that?
No, I don't. That's not a criteria to be a prosecutor. I mean, when we prosecute criminals and we represent victims, they don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. What we're looking for are prosecutors that will fit within the office and the model that we've set for the citizens of Dallas County. That model has given us the lowest crime rate in 10 years. That model has given us a conviction rate higher than it's ever been. That model has brought credibility to the district attorney's office, and we will continue with that model.
All right.
And hopefully the DAs that work for us will fit within that model.
Okay. Arguably the highest profile I think you have of any local elected person in Texas. You've been on Oprah, The View. Not really a requirement for a locally elected person. So the question would be, how about a national run? A Senate seat just opened. Do you have bigger things in mind for your future?
Well, no, at this point, I think I need to focus on being Dallas